And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuned in to the Status Network, the live TV channel. Let me go ahead and get my collar semi-popped. And yes, you see, let me slide over here. Wake Forest University in the building. Shouts to that undefeated team leading the ACC. But this is the Conversation Corner with your host, the author, Andrew Snorton. And we are starting season number 4, y'all. So hopefully, I'm aging gracefully. I think I am. What you think, JoJo? Am I doing all right? He gave me the thumbs up, so if he says it's good, we know we're good. Like we do basically every second and fourth Wednesday at about 7 o'clock, we go ahead and bring you some great guests across entertainment, business, community, and more, and we are so excited to start off season 4 with some great guests doing some great things. And of course, thank you all for lending support for all these years and then some. And of course, shouts to the amazing ownership and team for working with a brother, because they do work with me. And I tell you what, we have fun here to handle business. So before we get into our first set of guests, let's go ahead and do a couple of quick reminders. As you know, I am an author, so you want to make sure to add to your library. You make sure to add Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton for the poetry lovers, 9 Stories of Faith, Volume 1 for those who need stories of motivation, encouragement, and empowerment, and of course, Nothing Minor, which is focusing on my coverage of minor league baseball, some of whom are in the major leagues, and in fact a couple of them are Atlanta Braves, so shouts to the home team, Atlanta Braves, taking that 1-0 lead in the World Series. And a couple other things, we'll get to the audiobooks a little bit later, but video production available. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are looking for a network home for your broadcast, your podcast, your pop-up, your special event, pay-per-view, music, yes, radio, and even film, you want to connect with us at Status Network. Check out the amazing channels, the amazing shows we already have. We are looking for you, and I know you are looking for us, so make sure to contact us at the information provided. So now let's get ready to get season 4 started. And I tell you what, when it comes to college athletics, I know we talk a lot about football and basketball and softball and tennis, and deservedly so, but it's a little bit different when you're talking about intercollegiate sports at the HBCU level, as there's a great energy and synergy, and especially when it's right at home at the AU Center. I'm not going to get into that AU Center rivalry, but we do know there's some quality people in spaces and places, so we are so excited to have members and one of the advisors / supporters of the Morehouse College Polo team. So and look at that, for season 4, we've even added sound effects, ladies and gentlemen. Shouts to the producer on here. I guess this is what happens when you've been in the game 4 years. So we are so excited to have the folks here at Morehouse, and we're just going to have them introduce themselves. We have a couple of the student athletes, and notice we said student athletes because they are students first and a great advisor. So first, let's have the student athletes introduce themselves, starting off with student athlete number 1 with the great Morehouse Polo logo in the background.
Hey guys, my name is Jason Robertson. I'm a junior communication studies and sociology double major on a pre-law track from Strikeville, Mississippi. And of course, I attend Morehouse College.
And I tell you what, all those things, you are definitely a student athlete and then some. So we thank you for joining us. And we have another one of your teammates and a fellow student athlete, if we can go ahead and switch to him. And again, we'd love for you to introduce yourself to our wonderful audience.
Hey, my name is Caleb Cherry. I am a junior English major from Atlanta, Georgia. I am also the founder and captain of the Morehouse Polo Club.
And I tell you what, we appreciate you both being on here. And again, before we even jump into it, best wishes with all you're doing academically, professionally, community, and more. And I believe we have one of the key people, one of the advisors for the Polo team. Can we go ahead and get her on stage right quick? Okay, yes, go ahead, and we have one of the advisors, so please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Aletha Archeri. I am Spelman class of 99, and I marched in Morehouse's band from 95 to 98. I am Caleb's mom and not quite the advisor, but I do work as the liaison for the Morehouse Polo Club.
Well, I'll tell you what, even though liaison is the formal name, you're still lending advice, wisdom, insight, support, advocacy. So we're so excited to have you, Caleb, and Jason joining us. We're going to go ahead and pivot to Caleb first. So, Caleb, walk through with us a little bit about your polo journey, because as we are aware, there's multiple intercollegiate sports, club sports, things along those lines. But walk through with us a little bit about your polo journey. When did you first get aware of polo? And then second, what is it that makes what you're doing at Morehouse so special and so important?
All right, so yeah, let me start off with, like you said, how I started in polo. It started way back when, before I even knew about polo. I did dressage riding since I was about 7 or 8, and around late middle school, that's when I transitioned to polo in Tyrone, Georgia. And from there, I was having a good time with it. I graduated, and my coach at the time had suggested that I bring polo to Morehouse, and I could keep going, and that's what I did with the help of my mom and the help of our first members, help of the school too. We were able to make it a thing to happen. It happens, and I feel like at this point it's important. We are the first HBCU polo team to exist in the country, and that's a precedent. We are a first. Hopefully, with our successes and what we've been able to achieve, we can see other schools start to have a Howard polo team, Tuskegee polo team. That's what I really want to see in the future.
And I tell you what, that's so amazing. Number one, you walking through how you got introduced to the game. It captivated you, and then you were given, I'll say for lack of a better term, the friendly challenge to see where can you take it. And I think it's real important, as you stated, as being with what aligns with the tradition of Morehouse. And you've heard Morehouse men, and ladies and gentlemen, you're seeing it, where you are breaking ground and you're setting a tone and you're setting an example and hoping that other, not just schools, but I'm so glad you emphasize other HBCUs can follow suit. Jason, walk through with us a little bit of your polo journey from how you got introduced to where you are now. It's kind of like, here's where you started, here's where we are. So walk through that with us, Jason.
Well, this is actually my first season on the polo team, so our first game will be my first ever game playing polo. When I was younger, I'm from Mississippi, so my family has always been around horses. My family would train horses, so riding horses is nothing new to me. I remember coming to Morehouse, and I saw that there was a polo team, but I didn't see it until the springtime. So I already knew a couple people on the polo team. Caleb, I would always see him in my freshman hall, and another polo team member, Justin Whelan. We stayed in the same hall. So I would always check in with them, like, when are you guys having enrollment on the polo team? When is the next members going to be able to come in? So I was constantly hitting them up over the pandemic, just trying to see if I could join the polo team. And now I'm just so excited that I'll be able to start practice and start competitions for the polo team in this upcoming season.
Wow, and I'm glad that you shared that with us, because that's going to lead into one of my questions regarding, one of the things, it's definitely, the speed of the game, processing information, but it's not like you're doing it on your feet. You're doing it on a horse. So again, Jason, you shared a little bit earlier about your experience with, being able to ride a horse or equestrian base. Could you dig into that a little bit deeper? Because my horseback experience is, at the county fair when the pony rides around in that little circle, and maybe I've seen them from up close and from a distance, but what on earth, how did you just get into horses, and what possessed you to go ahead and be like, let me not only ride a horse, but let me go ahead and actually play a sport requiring a horse? Walk through that with us.
So I guess for me, riding a horse would kind of be like learning to walk for someone. I've always been around horses. My family has horses. They have a ranch back home, and it's been the norm. So horses have always been around. Like I said before, My family trains horses. They ride horses. I've seen so many rodeos that riding horses is a part of my way of life. So this, being on the polo team, it'll just be more technical, learning how to ride horses more professionally. Every time I go home, that's what I like to do in my free time is to ride horses. It's my calming. It helps me relieve my stress.
So, like you said before, it's just something that you've grown up with. And number one, you clearly know what you're doing because we see you right there on screen. So it's like, ladies and gentlemen, he knows what he's doing. But like you said before, you understand how to be able to process that through the lens of sports. But like you said before, just for relaxation. So I really thank you for walking through that. And I'm just going to say, better you than me. I'm going to let the veterans and the pros handle it. Caleb, as someone who's grown up playing the sport, what would you say are some of the takeaways from your experience? Some people say it's the teamwork. Some people say it's the physical aspect, the mental aspect. What are things that keep you coming back for more and getting fulfilled with playing the game of polo?
Well, for me, I'd say the main thing that keeps me coming back is the competitive aspect of it, because at the farm I was able to train in and play with, it's a very close-knit community. We all have a good time when we're out on the arena or in the field. And it's the I guess you could say sense of family that comes with it, because I know so many people there and they're just really fun people to be around. And then along with that, not only is it a good place to be around, I've learned a lot about what I am capable of and what I can do in the world. Because as captain, I have the job of communicating. You learn communication, you learn teamwork skills, and that's just being on the field. Not even talking about having to take care of the horses. That's going to be, I guess, information on how to handle animals, and also, like you said earlier, the physical aspect of it. It is a sport. Even if you're on the horse, you still have to be able to work your muscles and work what you're capable of as well.
Well, again, I appreciate the fact, of how you just broke things down. It's like I was taking notes. I was taking notes on my cell phone right here. I'm like, note to self, talk to these two gentlemen if I ever have any crazy ideas of going ahead. First off, getting on a horse, and second, let me try to keep my balance and all that type of thing. We're going to pivot to the good doctor and the good advisor here, and it's great that these men, I won't say young men, these men are talking about the fulfillment, the teamwork aspect, the physical dexterity, the mental capacity, and the fact that they just don't want to leave this here. They want to see this go to other HBCUs so that way their other peers, not only for some friendly competition, but their peers can go ahead and get the same types of benefits that they're getting. But I'd like for you to walk through with us through your lens of being the advisor, the advocate, the proponent. Walk through with us, in addition to what they're sharing, what are takeaways that you're getting just as being a supporter of this wonderful team and this wonderful group of men?
There are a number. First of all, Andrew, thank you so much for having us on your show. And we really appreciate being able to have this platform. I see the benefits in this as being very multifaceted. As both of them said, there is a passion for writing, and there is something that's almost therapeutic. I guess you could call it therapeutic when it comes to having a connection with a horse and having that connection with other people. I was able to dispel a lot of the myths that I had when it came to polo, because I'm not a writer and I was not as familiar with the community. Actually, I wasn't at all until Caleb started writing. But there are a lot of wonderful opportunities that the students are able to have while they're writing. The idea of being able to play and getting frustrated, but understanding that you can't dwell within that because that could be dangerous, really shows something that they can use in their life. Deal with it, handle it, figure out how you're going to deal with the situation, and move on in a positive way. Understanding that when there is friendly competition, that's exactly what it is friendly, And when everyone is off the field, when everyone is out of the arena, we're back to being a family again, even to the point where people get to laugh when they're playing. And one thing I appreciate the United States Polo Association doing in their intercollegiate rules is that if a student ends up blurting out something that is not as professional and not as wonderfully reflected of that school, then that student will get a penalty. So there are a lot of life skills that are building up there. A lot of people will think of polo as a white sport. And it is true that in the United States, there are not many African-American players. There are a smaller amount of players of color compared to other countries, but polo is truly an international sport. And Caleb and the team from last year were able to speak with people from other countries, people who have been able to play professionally. There are a lot of exposure pieces that are entailed with this. This time last year, matter of fact, the students were able to go up to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and spend a weekend with Work to Ride, which is also, correctly if I'm wrong, Caleb, the first Black team that was able to win an interscholastic championship. And this was back in 2017-18, I believe. So just being able to have that camaraderie, have those skill building activities, and still be in nature on a horse outside, I think it's really beneficial, not just for the students, but for those who are exposed to what they get to do.
And I'm glad that you added those pieces because, again, like I said earlier, when people think of intercollegiate sports, we know what sports automatically come to mind. And then if it's something that's kind of outside that lane, it's like, man, nobody does that. But here's the thing. Somebody is, and those somebodies are right here down the street at the AU Center. And on top of that, we know how Atlanta, as much as people don't want to admit it, Atlanta is kind of the epicenter of a number of different things, so why not get it started here? Mm-hmm. Walk us through a couple other moving parts, especially when it comes to support, because we know when you are bringing something new, people have let's take a wait and see approach, or are you really serious, or things along those lines. Walk through with us more of that story, and especially making sure support does come, but it's coming in the most appropriate, effective, and genuine manner possible. So walk through that with us.
Yes, and I will walk through this by telling you of a couple of experiences that I've had as I see Caleb going to different tournaments. He's been able to play in interscholastic tournaments when he was in high school in South Carolina. He had some in Georgia and Alabama. And while we go to Blue Water Creek and while we go to Aiken Polo Club, we're able to see the infrastructure. And we're able to see that there are teams that have their own horses. There are teams that are able to have their own individual sponsors. In addition to that, we were able to go up to Harvard at Cambridge, and Caleb was able to spend a day practicing and playing with those students. And likewise, we were still able to see that those particular students had their own horses donated for the team. Here in Atlanta, we don't have as many as many polo teams and as many fields and farms and stables as other areas in the United States, but we do have a very strong community here in the Atlanta area with Atlanta Regional Polo Center and Jolie Liston. But we do realize that there are a number of things that we don't have that we have to build in a different way. One of those is the fact that we have to raise funds to have the practices, to be able to lease the horses, to be able to have those lessons, because we don't have as many resources to pull from. We thank you so much for Dick's Sporting Goods, because they are able to secure funding. They're giving the students a grant with a new initiative that they have. As I said before, United States Polo Association has a number of student grants and scholarships and awards that they're able to give. So they've been able to provide a number of items for the students, but they're still in the process, well, I should say we are still in the process of securing funding. At minimum, we're looking at expenses being $4,000 a semester. And while that may seem like, oh my goodness, that's so much, you have to keep in mind that we're dealing with courses, we're dealing with living things. We're also dealing with transportation to and from the arena. Morehouse College is located close enough to downtown Atlanta, where it takes 30 minutes to get to the closest polo arena, and it'll take 20 minutes to get to the closest polo field. So you're dealing with transportation, equipment, lessons, and things of that nature. The students have done really well, in my opinion, this year, promoting their brand and promoting activities. If you go to their Instagram page, which is Morehouse Polo Team, or go to their link tree, which is in their bio, you see that they're selling shirts. They already have campus advisors who are willing to speak with people regarding sponsorships and donations. With them operating under Morehouse College's umbrella, the items that are donated and the funds that are donated are tax deductible. So we are really looking forward to having more supporters. In order for us to be sustainable, we need to have a large amount to at least start from as our base.
And I'm glad you walked through that with us. And when people first hear the price tag, you forget, like you said, you're dealing with living animals. Look, last time I checked, people should be used to dealing with living things like themselves, their families, their best friend who might be their dog or their cat. And so there is an expense that comes, but that expense is something just like Fluffy the cat provides you with those hours of warmth and comfort and entertainment. So too is going to be that big old horse that you want someone to learn how to ride appropriately and correctly so don't get hurt. But then more importantly, it's like you said before, you're trying to sustain something. This is not a flash in the pan. The word that I keep hearing is investment. And people are like, oh my gosh, not the I word. Oh yes, we are bringing up the I word today. It's an investment. And just as the student athletes said, they're not just doing it for the here and now, but they're trying to do something called leaving a legacy so more people can have these type of bridge opportunities. And not just on Morehouse's campus, but as they said from the outset, on virtually any HBCU campus. And if this is just me, if an HBCU is going to operate in excellence, then investment has to come from within and on the outside, and it has to be genuine. No pitch and fetch it, no shuck and jive, no shenanigans or scalawagatitude or anything along those lines. Hey, I'm a writer, so I can go ahead and use creative license on this. So here's the key things of the introduction to the constructive takeaways that are going on right now, the takeaways that you're going to have in the future, the investment. So I'm going to start with you, good doctor. And if people aren't remembering anything else, why the Morehouse Polo Club?
I like your question, and I think it's a very good one for people to reflect upon. Why Morehouse? First of all, okay, and obviously I'm going to be a little biased because, as I said, I am a graduate of Spelman College. My son is now at Morehouse, and Caleb is the fifth generation in our family to go to an historically Black college. So there's a heritage symbol in that itself. And so when you look at the history and the legacy, as you said, of HBCUs, when you look at the history and legacy of Morehouse men and what they become after they become, you call yourselves men of Morehouse before you graduate. And then when they become graduates of Morehouse College, they are Morehouse men. So when you see that transition and when you see that rich heritage, when you see the type of leaders that are in our past and now in our present, and you see how these students will be our future, you want to be able to have firsts. You want to be able to have a legacy of culture and heritage. I think it's really important to hear that Jason is in Mississippi. And while he has not been exposed to polo until recently, he has been around horses and equestrian life, his whole being. And so I think it's also important to see the different dynamics that we have among the students at Morehouse, and who better to start it? I appreciate Caleb talking about having more schools getting involved. And the United States Polo Association is very much on board with that. The director now came from Yale, and they have been very supportive of seeing Morehouse win. And I appreciate the fact that that the organization wants more diversity, and they're working towards that. So look forward to seeing more in that realm. But to answer your question, why Morehouse? Why not? Because it's Morehouse.
And I think you definitely stated it well. And of course, we not only want to hear from the, one of the advisors and supporters, but definitely, from our student athletes. So I'm going to pivot to Jason. And Jason, I'm going to throw the same question to you. Why Morehouse?
I would say Morehouse is the epicenter of black male excellence. Morehouse has, like Dr. Cherry has said, Morehouse has produced so many amazing men. After you leave from Morehouse, you see the legacy of how many you see Morehouse men all over the country, and not all over the country, but globally, what men are doing. They have stayed in the same freshman halls as me, that have walked through the same academic halls as me, that have been on Brown Street just like I have. So when you see men that have risen so high and came from the same backgrounds as you, it gives you a purpose. It makes you feel like that you can achieve anything. And just seeing that Morehouse is the first college to have an HBCU polo team, it just shows that Morehouse is leading the world.
And wow, I think you stated that, as I would expect you, so eloquently and so passionately and purposely. Okay, Caleb, you're up next. Why Morehouse?
So back in 2019, when I first enrolled in Morehouse, one of the things they gave us for new student orientation was a t-shirt. And on that t-shirt, it said, "Excellence is a habit." And that's what Morehouse is about. Teaching the men of Morehouse who will matriculate through there how to become leaders, how to become speakers, to become activists. And that's one of the reasons why I chose Morehouse, because that's what I want to learn, how to lead my community, how to better my community, especially in Atlanta, where I have lived my whole life, where I grew up, where I now go to college. And that's what I want. And I believe that even with the Morehouse Polo Club, that's what we're doing. We're setting that standard. We are being excellent, not because we want to, but because it is a habit. It is what we are made to do, essentially. Not even made to do. That's what we are taught to do, how to act. Us raising the bar, us making a new standard, that shouldn't be a special thing. That should be the norm for us. And that's why I chose Morehouse, because that's what they teach us, that's what they install into us on day one.
And I tell you what, the biggest thing I heard, excellence is the norm. I might have to use that for a status. Excellence is the norm. Dr. Cherry, as we get ready to wind down this segment, please remind our viewers the best ways to find out more about the great work going on with the Morehouse Polo Club, how they can add, follow, like, share, put up the bat signal, all that type of thing. Please close us out with this segment to let us know how we can find out more and support the great things taking place with the Morehouse Polo Club.
Yes, thank you so much for that, and thank you for this time. You can find out more information about Morehouse Polo Club by accessing their page on Facebook, and you can also find them on Instagram at Morehouse Polo Team. You can also, if you have personal questions for them, email them at morehousepolo@gmail.com. If you would like to give and donate, you will be able to do so on their Instagram page. You'll be able to see their link tree. And you can also go to morehouse.edu and go to the giving page, and you'll see a line item where you'll be able to give directly to Morehouse Polo Club.
Well, I tell you what, I thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedules to share your story of impact. Obviously, all of us here at the station and people watching want to make sure that you are as successful as possible. Continued well wishes. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to our first commercial break. We come back. You know it's election season, ladies and gentlemen, so you definitely want to take notes. Stick around, and we'll be right back. Many thanks to Devo Entertainment for having me down at the Family Den right there on South Stony Island. Make sure to check them out for their Sunday Fun Day and House Music Monday series. And again, thank you to Devo Entertainment and the Family Den for having me there back-to-back days to do book signings and more. So make sure to check them out on the South Side. Speaking of check out, congratulations to Red Level Entertainment, as you want to check them out as they've been in business for 21 years. Connect with them for your marketing, promotion, whether it's arts and entertainment or business events, and we'll look forward to working with them December 17th and 18th, so stay tuned. The holidays are coming up, and if you want to make a big positive impact in Central Illinois, please make sure to get in contact with Michelle Roel right there for Catholic Charities for the holiday give back, providing families in need with some much needed items and holiday cheer. When it comes to yoga, stretching, fitness, holistic health, there's one company that I suggest you stay connected with. That's right, Born to Train Fitness. They've been a guest on the show. They have some great programs and services, so check them out on the net and Instagram today. This coming Saturday, be a part of the Halloween Community Day Festival hosted by Taylor Froussel. The first half of the day is about the kids, and the second half of the day is about the 21 and older crowd. So make sure to connect to be a part of this great event. Remember, daytime for the kids, nighttime for the adults. Don't forget to add the author's mixtape to your audiobook series. There are 5 volumes available on your favorite platforms, Tidal, Spotify, SoundCloud, and more. Check out volumes 4 and 5 featuring my co-author, Chris Ten. And don't forget to add Nothing Minor, 9 Stories of Faith, Deeper Than Your Deepest Sleep, Thoughts on Love with Joseph Snorton to your reading library. And many thanks to the Black Only Awards for nominating me as their Author of the Year. So check it out. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back for our next segment of the Conversation Corner. And again, this is a great way to start off season 4. So as many of you know, we're almost at the end of October, and with the end of October comes November. And most people kind of forget about the first Tuesday of the month because it's not an even year. But check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Elections can come up any year at any time, and especially this year when there are a number of local elections taking place. And whenever somebody feels like they can heed the call to public service on an even higher level, you want to take time to talk with, listen to, share, exchange, and find out more about what they're doing. So in just a couple of moments, I'm so excited to have someone who has a strong record of community service and outreach and is looking at taking that to the next level. And that is none other than candidate for the city of Lawrenceville, Georgia, City Council, Ms. Marlene Taylor Crawford. So Marlene, if you can hear us, go ahead and jump on in and say hello to everybody.
Hello, good evening. Thank you so much, Andrew, for giving me this opportunity to speak on the Conversation Corner. And I do want to recognize that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So thank you once again. My name is Marlene Taylor Crawford, and I'm running for Lawrenceville City Council Post 4. And I am an experienced leader in Gwinnett County and the city of Lawrenceville for over 21 years. And I definitely live by the words of service is the rent that we pay for the privilege of living on this earth. So running for office is just an extension of the community service and the commitment that I have in Gwinnett County and beyond.
And I tell you what, even with your introduction, it wasn't even when you gave your introduction, you didn't even get to running for office. Your first thing was showing an acute awareness for it being Breast Cancer Month. So that in and of itself, ladies and gentlemen, look at here, service is definitely on her mind. So before we get into talking about different parts of your platform, walk through with our viewers, and you did a great job in your introduction, but for folks who are residents of Gwinnett County, Georgia, walk through a few of the other community moving parts, because regardless of what happens, you having your feet on the ground and being community ingrained, it's not just something you do, as you said before, and people who have taken notice know it's an extension of who you are. So again, walk through with us a few of those community moving parts.
Okay, so I'll mention a few. Currently, I am the chairwoman of the Gwinnett Historical Restoration and Preservation Board. I was appointed by one of the commissioners, and her first name is Marlene, just like mine, Commissioner Marlene Foscue. I also serve on the Hooper Renwick Legacy Preservation Committee, and I was appointed by the city council members. And prior to that, through a grassroots movement, we came together to form the Hooper Renwick Preservation Committee. And that is the one segregated school in Gwinnett County in the city of Lawrenceville that was going to be demolished. So I was part of the movement to stop that from happening. Also, I am the former president of the United Ebony Society of Gwinnett County, serving for 10 years. And we host one of our signature events is hosting the annual Dr. Martin Luther King Day Parade in the city of Lawrenceville and ending at Moore Middle School, which is named after the late co-founder of the United Ebony Society, Robbie Susan Moore. I am a very staunch supporter to fight against voter suppression, and I am so glad that and proud and honored to be endorsed by Fair Fight because of my many years of serving Gwinnett County to fight voter suppression and advocating for the rights of voting.
Wow. And just again, like I said before, being ingrained in the community is part of who you are. It's part of what you do. So here you are, already engaged here. You're engaged there. What would you say was the impetus for you to say, you know what, there's still a little bit more that I can do? So walk through with us a little bit of your thought process about running for office, especially where you are for the city of Lawrenceville, for the city council.
So, you know, that leaders, I truly believe that leaders come out of the community. So for a number of years, I have been approached by people, Marlene, why don't you run for office? And I always thought about it, but you know, timing is very important as well. So the more that I see the disparities in the city of Lawrenceville, I cannot continue to not really be involved on another level to make change. And my slogan is, my platform overall is make the city thrive for all. And the greatest investment that you can have in any city is the people. And when we invest in the people, we invest in our children, we invest in the future. So it's not just about the present time. I'm always thinking ahead. What is the vision? What's going to happen? And as an educator, school counselor working with children for so many years and families, I see the struggles and I see the hardship in so many ways, and I see the successes. And I want to be a part of the solution, not the problem. And my personality does not allow me to stand by and not do anything.
And I love how you close that out, because that reminds me, and I'm paraphrasing a quote from the late Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. about you, he cannot sit idly by. And last time I checked, I'm sure, I mean, you might have your gym shoes on as far as I know, because you stay on the move. You stay on the move. Walk through with us some key parts of your platform, because again, as it's election season, elections are literally right here. Walk through with us again some of the key components of your larger platform.
Okay, so let's start with engagement. As I am speaking with the community, and I love to survey people and just ask basic questions to kind of gauge where everyone is at. And I think it's really important to meet people where they're at, because I don't want to have a conversation here or here and someone is not comprehending me or they're just not interested. So I always like to start off by helping people to understand the importance of voting. So voter education is so critical when someone is campaigning. So I start with numbers. So we have approximately 31,000 people who live within the city of Lawrenceville. Out of that, we have approximately 17,000 registered voters. In the last election in 2019, when I asked people that I'm speaking with, give me an idea how many people you think came out to vote in 2019. And I get so many different answers, 10,000, 15,000, 5,000, 2,000. Well, the answer is 791 people. And when I say that, they're like, whoa. So basically, approximately 791 people making the decision for 31,000 people. And this is historical. So this is not like just it only happened in 2019. This is the pattern. And that really makes people understand, okay, this is why this is not happening. This is why, I can't get this done, because they're not coming out to vote. And I also want to emphasize that it works both ways. The city council has to also engage people and let them understand that, number one, voting is going on. Many people did not even realize voting is going on. And this is the first time ever that the city of Lawrenceville sent out information in the utility bills about voting. This has never happened before. So a culture has been created where people are so disconnected from what's happening within their own community. And that is definitely a problem. So voter education is something that's really important. You have to allow people an opportunity to speak about some of what their concerns are and how they can become involved. And once again, we have to meet people where they're at. So we can't just say, go on the website, go to social media, because I'm speaking to people of all ages. And I want to ensure that after my conversation, they know exactly what they need to do in order to vote. Voting is only at City Hall. Unlike many other cities outside of Gwinnett County, the voters can go to their precincts that they normally vote at. Not in Gwinnett County. People have to go to City Hall. Many people are very confused about that. So there's a lot of information regarding engagement, and voter education is one part of that.
And again, I'm so glad you're taking time to really walk through it. The numbers that you gave were quite alarming, and correct me if I'm wrong, of a city of approximately 31 to 32,000, you said for one of the, I'll say, voter turnouts, it was like approximately 800. That is, I'm not going to say it's ridiculous, but it's borderline close. So I'm glad that you are articulating that and letting people know part of your platform is just making sure that people are better connected with the larger engagement process. And like you said before, there's enough seats at the table, so everyone needs to have that opportunity to pull up a chair. What are a couple other parts of your platform that you feel people, of course we know the entire platform is important, but what's one other part of your platform that you're like, you know what, this is something that I feel not only hits home for the community that I'm charged to serve, but you being a part of that community, it hits home for me.
Yes. So another part, and everything is very much interrelated, so it is also access. And I'll give you a few examples. There's a neighborhood within the city of Lawrenceville, the paper mill community, and they have advocated for sidewalks for 12 years. While they're doing that, a whole city within a city is being built within a stone's throw away from them. I have a problem with that. So finally, the city took a vote, and it passed to build sidewalks in the community. Well, they're still waiting, but the fact that people have to wait that long to see that type of disparity, and that's just one, and other things are happening in other neighborhoods, that is definitely a concern. Another example, in the Carver Circle community, there's an ongoing conversation about the storm drainage problem. The argument is, well, when this community was built, there was definitely some disparities, this and that, all kind of excuses. We can talk about what the problem is for months and for years, but we have to find the solution. So I'm very solution oriented. I don't want to just keep on complaining. What are we going to do about it? And when people do not have a voice, they're not being heard. And because of the disparities, there are many concerns that are going unnoticed or certainly not addressed in a timely manner. So there's definitely a problem with disparities, and there's not equity when it comes to servicing.
And wow, just hearing that story, like you said before, 12 years for a sidewalk. I'm not the greatest with math, but that sounds like it's an excessive amount of time just to get that type of essential service. And to your point, part of what you're bringing or looking to bring is the same measure of advocacy, but now seeing how that can be better implemented in day-to-day policy to help, as you said before, provide access to resources, provide access to opportunities, provide access to engagement. So moving forward, now let me ask you this. At this point in time, I know for like the election cycle last year, there was early voting, things along those lines. For this particular election, is the election pretty much strictly based under the traditional manner of that first Tuesday of the month, or are there early election options or early voting options for people? Walk through that with us.
Thank you for that question, because that's very important for voters to understand the dates. So as I stated before, voting is only at Lawrenceville City Hall. Cannot go anywhere else to vote. And early voting started on October 12th. And the hours are from 9 to 5. And it will end on Friday this week, October 29th. So that also included Saturdays and Sundays. For the very first time in the city of Lawrenceville, there was Sunday voting in the same hours, 9 to 5. Election day is going to be next Tuesday, November 2nd. Once again, only at City Hall from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. A person has to live within the city limits. So just because I say Lawrenceville, that doesn't mean that it's within the city limits of Lawrenceville.
Okay. So it sounds like almost like how certain cities, it's like a city proper. So you have to be, like you said, Lawrenceville proper, or like you said, within the city of Lawrenceville. Not like the outer rim, but you've got to definitely be within the city. So here you are again. You have a strong track record of community engagement. You are heeding the call to take your engagement to another level. During this part of your community engagement journey, what are some lessons that you've been able to learn, or what are some things where you've had that aha moment or that reminder that, yes, this is the journey I need to continue to take?
Okay. One thing I've learned, you can't take anything for granted. You cannot assume. You cannot say, oh, people should know, or this is going to happen. So definitely, you have to take things step by step and kind of be very proactive in your way of thinking and keep a running record of things that are happening. So that way, okay, I'm thinking, all right, so when I sit on the city council, when I'm serving on the city council, this is something else that I need to address. Have to be a great listener. And I'm so glad that my background is in counseling. So that's something that I'm very informed about. You have to listen. You have to give people an opportunity to speak. Listen to understand, not to disagree with someone, but truly understand and make sure people know that you care. And that's the bottom line, knocking on doors, keeping a distance because, of course, we're in COVID, being respectful of that, but at least having a presence and not just asking someone to vote and not giving them an opportunity to speak with you. And I believe that in the importance of holding our elected officials accountable. So when I vote for someone or someone votes for me, it's not going to be a situation that someone will say, well, who serves on the city council? Because I asked this question as well, and not about 98% of the people can't even tell me one person's name. So as a taxpayer, they have no clue who they should hold accountable. As a resident, they have no clue who they should hold accountable. And I say this over and over again. I want people to know my name, know who I am. And let's have these difficult conversations, because that's the only way we're going to grow and have positive change. We have to have difficult conversations, and I'm ready to have those conversations and to help serve in the best way that I can. I am committed, and my years of service have shown it. And right now my voice is kind of hoarse from talking so much. So please excuse that. But definitely I am a very approachable person, and I understand the importance of investing in our community and speaking to people of all age groups.
And again, we definitely, commend you for the work that you are doing, and even bigger than that, continuing to heed the call. So as we gradually get ready to wind down your segment, next to last point, or next to last question, you have covered a lot of ground. You've shared your knowledge base, your expertise, your logic, your rationale, your want, your willingness, and readiness. If people don't remember all the details of all the moving parts, if they don't remember every little intricate detail regarding your platform, what's one thing you would love to leave for your constituents so they can remember and recall and do a little bit of digging, do a little bit of research as you ask for their vote so you can be an even bigger advocate than you are right now?
So Marlene Taylor Crawford will make the city thrive for all. Thrive for all. That's what I want people to remember.
And I tell you what, sometimes the most powerful statements are just like the ones you just made right there. So as we get ready to pivot to our next commercial break, would you do us a favor and let us know the best ways to continue to find out more about your campaign, website, social media, and again, just those reminders about the voting process for the city of Lawrenceville for the city council?
Okay, so if I can also state that voting is at large, so that means that running for post 4, I'm not restricted to a certain part of the city of Lawrenceville. So regardless where someone lives within the city limits, they can vote for me. And I have to give a shout out for Austin Thompson. He's running for post 3. So someone can vote for me, Marlene Taylor Crawford, post 4, and vote for Austin Thompson, who's running in post 3. So that's really important, because that's a question that comes up very often. Please go to votemarlenetaylorcrawford.com. That is my website information. You can reach me via my website, and also social media. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Vote Marlene Taylor Crawford.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. So I commend you for the work that you're doing. I thank you for taking time out of your schedule. Thankful for technology and everything. But seriously, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be with us, to walk through what you've done, what you are doing, and what you have yet to do. And of course, we wish you success. Oh, yeah, you're welcome. That is no problem at all, and we definitely wish you tremendous success, not only as it leads into next week, but beyond. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our second commercial break, and we come back, we're going to go ahead and have a couple of closing remarks and thoughts, as this is our kicking off year 4 of the Conversation Corner. So stick around as we go to our next commercial break. For those who are 21 and older, make sure to check out Can I Be Tipsy, a signature cocktail company. They provide mixed drinks, specialty beers, and more. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, they do ship. So make sure to connect with them at the information provided. And once again, for the 21 and older, Can I Be Tipsy? Make sure to check out the merch from yours truly, whether it's the bracelets, the mugs. We have t-shirts, and we have more coming just in time for those cooler holidays and whatnot. So check me out at the information provided and get your merch from the author today. Doing good, but doing it greater is what Crave Community Solutions is all about. We do education. We do ACT, SAT prep, sports coverage, including the undefeated Wake Forest University football team. And check out our upcoming interview with Tiara Mays, taking care of business out there in Iowa. So make sure to check us out. And thank you to Right to Be Magazine, Memphis Voyager Magazine, and Campania Publishing for their upcoming interviews on me. Make sure to add me on Instagram, as you see there. Click on the link in my bio and check out all the great interviews. Many, many thanks to Life with Shanita, as well as Shawnisa with The Fix at 6. I'll serve as guest host for their upcoming shows on Thursday, October 28th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and November 2nd at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Power 108.9, so make sure to check me out. The home state of New Jersey is the host of the Old Hollywood Gala, hosted by Styletainment, taking place on December 11th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is when the red carpet takes place. So make sure to check me out there, as more details are forthcoming. And mark your calendars for November 20th for the red carpet party for the upcoming production of Power of Forgiveness. Shouts to our friend Chris Kinder for doing an amazing work in playing one of the leads. So make sure to check out the information provided. Get your tickets on Eventbrite, as spaces are limited. When it comes to photography, video, short film, documentaries, commercial, and more, you want to make sure to get the picture. Get the picture today with Chris 10 Media, so make sure to add them on Instagram as well as Facebook and connect with them for these and related media needs. And finally, 1820 hats. Live free, ladies and gentlemen, with the understanding your hat is your crown. Custom fedoras for men and women, specialty lines, and more. And check out their upcoming merch coming in just in time for the holiday season. Again, 1820 hats on your favorite platforms. And ladies and gentlemen, we are back as we get ready to wind down a great show. We want to definitely give thanks to our guests from the Morehouse College Polo Club and the great work that they are doing. And we also want to thank Ms. Marlene Taylor Crawford for coming on, taking a little bit of a breather from the campaign trail to go ahead and be with us. Again, it's amazing. Just think about it. Time does go by swiftly. So I look back, it was it was about this time in 2019 when it was my very first show. And I want to give shouts to JoJo. What's the name of the show that came on before me? Cool Rich Conversations. So I want to give them a shout. I know what it's like when you're first starting and you're just happy to see a mic in front of you and all that type of thing. So shouts to them as they finished up their second show, and we look forward to, having them to continue to do some great work. But again, we're ending season 3. We're getting ready to start season 4. I'm thankful and grateful to each and every guest across the board. If you've taken note, we've had a lot of people across the board in entertainment, business, community, and more. And it's not just limited to here. I'm really excited to announce that we'll be back on the road this coming Saturday, as we'll be back up at the alma mater, Wake Forest University, covering their game against Duke University. So shouts to the Wake Forest University football team. They are sitting right now with a 7-0 overall record. record. They are currently, I want to say, they're the only undefeated team in the Atlantic Coast Conference, so shouts to them. Shouts to, especially I got to give special shouts to my fraternity brothers, Ja'Cory Roberson, Justice Ellison, and my friend from my hometown, Jasir Taylor, and the entire squad. So shouts to all of them. Shouts, of course, to the ownership here, to the production team, who have been extremely supportive since day one. So we will probably end up doing something around the holidays, so you want to make sure to stay tuned. And as we're getting ready to close out October and getting into November, we know the days are going to get, the sunlight's going to get a little bit shorter. The days are going to get a little bit cooler. The holidays are going to be coming up. But we just want to make sure that everybody here, stays safe, stays successful, and things of that nature. So as we finally get ready to close out, I'm very grateful again for 3 seasons. Hard to believe, but they've gone by real quickly. I'm very excited of how we're going to start off season 4 next month. And we've got some great guests, as what you expect, across entertainment, business, community, and more. Next to last thing, we did have Mr. Willie Williams from Wake Forest University's campus bookstore scheduled to join us. He wasn't able to join us today, but we want to give him shouts and thanks. And not only that, check out the bookstore's open house this coming Saturday before the big game. So again, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you. We wish you tremendous success, blessings, all that, and then some, whether small or big. A victory is a victory, whether slow or swift, movement is movement. And on that note, we're going to move right on out of here. Y'all have a good night. Have a good rest of the week. Be safe this weekend. And what did they say in that famous song, this year Halloween fell on the weekend? See, if I had thought about it, I could have brought that Ghetto Boys track. But you all know what I'm talking about. Have a good one, and we will see you back in November.